Hello, friends. This is Caleb Warnock, and I'm going to scoot my chair in here, and I've just made this blue Christmas tree out of indigo, copper, and blue spirulina. And so I thought, let's go through this and make it together. Also, the orange is marigold, and the base is rust. So this spirulina I bought a couple of years ago on Amazon, and I've mixed a tiny bit here. Um, After a lot of experimenting with spirulina, by the way, is an algae. And after a lot of experimenting, I have learned that the best way to use spirulina, and I hate wasting. Can you see there's so much left on here? I'm just trying to pull a little out of the bag, but this stuff is kind of expensive. I'm trying to see if it says on here. This is 1 ounce, and I think I paid $10 or $12 for that ounce, and I'm sure it costs more now. But the key to making a good paint with spirulina is to add in ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C powder. If you don't use ascorbic acid, the color fades and it washes out, and it takes a lot of pigment, a lot of the powder just to make even a little bit of paint. But if you use ascorbic acid as your mordant, a mordant being anything you can add to stabilize or change a color, then it is a very stable blue and does not take nearly as much to make the blue. So I'm just mulling this together. I'm shaking the whole table and the camera and everything, mulling this together. I'm going to scrape this off of here and move this over to the corner. And that will be one of our blue colors for this blue Christmas tree. And then I'm cleaning, just wiping off the slab and the molar and the spatula. And then we'll take our indigo. This is powdered indigo extract from the yarn tree, also a couple of years old. It only takes a tiny bit of indigo to make paint. So I'm going to put 1, 2, well, let's stick with 2 for the moment. And indigo does not really need a mordant. And that's a little thick, especially for what we're trying to do. So I've added 1 more drop of water. I mean, I suppose if we put it on that thick, it's sort of going to maybe look like a denim tree, and I don't know that that's what we want to do. So that is mixed in. I'm going to scrape this off of the molar and try to get as much of it as we can because I hate to waste these paints. I'm sort of spoiled because for most everything I do, I can get it just fresh or dried from my garden or yard or my friends' yards, but these spirulina and indigo I have to buy. And so I'm such a cheapskate that I hate that. And then this is copper on kale and clay. And I made this myself. And I know I've said already in a previous video that I would show you guys how to do that, and I haven't done it yet. But one of these days, I'm going to show you how to make your own copper mordant and copper paint. Um, as I said, this is on kale and clay, and it's been allowed to dry out, and so I'm just letting that soak for a minute. I'm not going to mull it immediately because that clay needs to dry a little bit. And um, this tree I just made with pieces of tape, and then so I think this is hopefully dry enough to turn the page. And this is just, we're not trying to make great art here. What we're really trying to make is, it's midnight right now where I'm at, and what I'm really trying to do, I suppose, is just relax and have a little fun. I need to de-stress. I've had a lot of work today. I've got a lot of work tomorrow, and it would be great to just relax a little bit. So there's the shape of the tree right there. And I want to save enough room for a star at the top. And this one, I went pretty close to the bottom. I think maybe I will not go that far again. Maybe put a little bit more of a trunk on there and not go that far. This clay should be ready to mold. And maybe one more drop of water. I don't know. I don't want to do too much water. Sorry, I think I'm losing my voice, you guys. Well, plus it's bedtime, and my body is probably saying, go to bed. And I will very shortly. That's another great thing about this, is that it's just, you know, fun and it's relaxing, and then I can get in bed like a normal person and go to sleep. It's a good way to sort of let the day go. Now, I shouldn't let the day go at midnight. I should let the day go earlier than midnight. But I made a mistake today, and that was that when thought I was sort of done with the day, I went on Google and started looking at watercolor ideas, and then that made me want to paint. Instead of making me want to go to sleep, I was like, now I want to paint something. So here I am. All right. So I'm going to use this brush here, and just I want to paint this sort of close together so that there's just barely a line of white in between each of these horizontal sections. And right now they're not horizontal because I find it easier to paint these vertically instead of horizontally. So that's what I'm doing right now. But obviously when I turn this right side up, it'll look like the other tree. Okay, so I've made those lines. I'm going to clean out my brush off camera here. Dry my brush a little off camera. And then let's see if we've got this maybe got a little too thin. And might be good to either put more spirulina powder in it. Where did I put my spirulina? Oh, here it is right here. Put more, maybe just put a touch more spirulina powder in it. And I'll try to dot some of this powder in here. And because I'm dotting it into the existing, that's really giving a watercolor effect. I want to be kind of close. I just want a thin, as thin as I can get, little line of white separating these. Okay, I like that. I'm going to rinse this brush and dry this brush and go ahead with some of the indigo. And that is a little dry. Instead of putting a drop of water, I'm going to spray a drop of water because I'm afraid if I put a whole drop in there, it'll become, I might have to re-mull it, and I don't want to do that just because then I'd have to clean my muller again. I hope I'm talking loud enough that you guys can hear me. I better speak up here. I think this looks good so far. What do you guys think? Okay. And again, I hate to kind of waste this. So sometimes I take my spatula and force the paint out of the brush because that's how cheap I am. I don't want to waste that. I think I've mentioned before that I've tried to grow indigo in my greenhouse, and there are several kinds of indigo, and the one that makes the best blue just will not grow here. It is too short of a season and too cold, even in my greenhouse, which is unusual. Okay, I'm going to take this small brush now and I want it just to vary this a little bit by putting some smaller lines. So there's a smaller line right there. And let's do a small line down here, trying to keep in mind that I don't want to go too far down on this tree because on the last tree there was hardly even room to put a little trunk on there. And let's put a indigo line in here. Trying as best I can to kind of keep it from touching the others. This one, maybe I'll fan out my brush just a little more so that the line is a little thicker. Let's repeat that up here. And I'll make a really thin line right here. And then clean my brush and try to put in one more of these also in a very thin line, just kind of making it up as I go. I don't want it to be too repetitious. I guess we can put in a dark line in here and fanning my brush out a little bit so that it is taking up a little more space. And then we're going to have to come in here with a paler blue line from the spirulina. And then we have this line left, and we really need to reserve all of that space to put the star in. It is possible that we could just leave that white, but it might kind of look like we forgot it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in. Did you see I mixed a little bit of indigo in with the spirulina? Okay. What do you think? I like that. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, cleaning my brush. I've got this little bit of iron that is just a little bit of iron with water. And I'm going to paint a trunk on here. How about that? What do we think? That looks okay, right? As you can see, this is not really like the most complicated painting in the world. It's just fun and relaxing. Now, to do the star and to do some baubles, I'm going to take a petal of dried marigold with a little bit of ascorbic acid and a couple drops of water. One, two, there's three. I don't want to put too much, I don't want to put too little. Oops, there's accidentally four, and I definitely don't want that fourth drop, at least not at the moment. And begin to crush this. And as you can see, it's beginning to release its orange color. Ascorbic acid really is important when you're working with marigold petals to keep that paint from turning brown and oxidizing. You need the ascorbic acid, just like you need it in the blue spirulina. Now, spirulina also comes in green. You can buy it in green. I have never used the green. Maybe, I mean, there are so many botanical ways to get green paint that I don't know that it's really necessary to purchase spirulina, green spirulina, just to make green paint. But there are so few ways to get good blue color, especially this sky blue, that it is worth it to purchase. For me, it's worth it to purchase that blue spirulina. And supposedly these are 100% natural spirulina. Both the green and the blue is 100% natural. Boy, it better be. But I do think that it is. Okay. So I've made this marigold and it's still looking kind of brown to me. I don't know. I think we better mold this again. It is looking browner than I want it to look. I'm going to add a little bit of citric acid to see if we can get this to brighten up a little bit. And that will mean that I have to mold this again, but that's okay. I've added 1 drop of water. See, now it looks like a bright orange, but when it's all together, it looks like a brown color. But that citric acid has helped. So it's not as brown, and it should be orange when we paint it on the paper. So I'm just wiping off this molar and wiping off the spatula. And I'm going to take this brush, which is, I don't know what you call this brush, a rigger brush, is that what it is? It's not a, it's thicker than a liner brush, and I'm doing just a star out of lines like this. And then we'll let that dry, and then on the last one, I had to repaint it again. And so I may have to do that again here. Now, I'm going to scrape all this together. Scrape, scrape, scrape into one puddle and take this pencil. I don't know where, can you guys see that? And I'm going to use the eraser of the pencil, and I'm going to dip it into this paint, and then I'm going to pop on the baubles, just like that. And what is great about this method is that it leaves a little, I don't know what to call it. It's a little bump of paint. As it pulls away from the paper, it pulls this bump of paint with it, which gives it a more three-dimensional quality, which I think is perfect for what we're doing here. Okay, I'm going to squish this back up into a puddle again. And where else should I put one? Right there. I don't know where else to put one. We'll put one right there. We'll put one right there, right there, right there. And I don't know, you guys, I think that's done. I might put one over here, except that we already have this little interesting area here, and so it doesn't need anything there. And as I have said before, the great, um, what shall I say? The great learning experience of art is to figure out when to stop, right? Okay, and then we could take this pencil and just pencil in a little star line in there too, or if I had black, I could do that too. But I think this looks really good. Let's take the tape off. The slow, and notice I'm not pulling it at this angle. I'm pulling it at a very low angle because that helps it to come off. And this tape is pretty clean, so I'm gonna stick it to the desk and I can reuse it another day. I don't know if I'll have time to do any painting tomorrow, but you never know, maybe. Okay, I stuck both of those to the desk. I kind of want to do something with this, but again, I should leave it alone because that's the temptation, is to keep doing stuff when there's nothing wrong with this as just a quick, fun art journal entry. You know, I'm not really making stuff that is going to go into the Louvre, and I'm not making stuff that is going to, go for sale to the public or anything. It's just quick little fun stuff. I should just make a note on here. I like to make a note up the edge and say that this is spirulina and indigo and copper clay and marigold and rust. And it is November 2024. I'm trying to be better about writing down what it was that made writing on the paintings so that, if I come back next year and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really like that painting. Well, too bad I didn't write down what plants I made that out of because, well, you know, by tomorrow I may not remember at all. So let's go back to this one. I mean, it's not, they're different. This one is a darker, this one is paler, more pastelish, but I really like both of them. I like them both. And not today, another day, I would like to do this kind of tree with just greens instead of blues, even though this clay is kind of green, but you know what I mean. Just do botanical greens. I like them. I like them. I like this. I don't know. I think that's super fun. Thank you for hanging out with me wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a good Christmas. If you're having Christmas, and I hope you're getting time to do your art and relax and take a little breath and let the negative stuff of the world come out of your body. And I hope that you are comfortable and have sufficient for your needs. And, you know, it is the week of Thanksgiving as I film this, and it is soon to be Christmas. So I'll say to you, Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks, friends. Goodbye.